leaving Matthew on stream playing the blue-red deck. He's going to play the same matchup again. He's going up against Jeff playing blue-white. It is definitely different style, slightly from Chris's list, but it's still pretty similar. So I'm sure Matthew will just be on the same plan as he was before and go from there.
What I want to know is this list that Jeff has is super similar to Jeremy's, who we saw earlier, who is still alive in top 8.
Yep, Jeremy won his top 8 match against Chris Vincek. So Jeremy will be on the top 4. He'll be playing. I didn't get to see who the other top match was. I'm not sure if Nizar won or not. So hopefully we'll have some good old magic here. And so far we got Jeff here with good old Stoneforge Mystic. But it is going to get spell snared by Matthew. So we're going to have a little bit slower game of Magic.
Little feel the room by Jeff.
This is kind of what we expected, though. Like, slower matchup, blue-red, red-white, or blue-red and blue-white will definitely be like a slow, grindy game, as we saw Matthew did against Chris. You know, he just threw out an Ambush Viper and just turned it sideways until Chris finally died. I'm sure he'll probably try to have a similar plan here. It is game 1, so we won't have cards like Karanos in here. He won't have that Dispel in the from the sideboard. So he'll have just the good old cards in his main board.
I think the biggest thing here is, like, again, even in the main board for Matthew, is just, you know, draw a bunch of things, pass.
Yep.
Deploy my threats very strategically.
That's definitely like the point for both of them here. They're just like, all right, land go, do a thing, land go. So it'll be, I guess, interesting to see it again.
So I think, like, minus the fact that Jeff has the Stoneforge package, I'm going to go ahead and assume it's just, like, whoever really sticks Jace first. You know, get tons of card draw.
I definitely think that's a possibility for sure. But I also think if Matthew does the same thing as he did last time, which was just, you know, I land a threat and then I keep that threat alive, it'll be good enough. It'll be, you know, going from 2 damage each turn. It's a 10-turn clock unless, you know, Jeff starts fetching and killing himself. So it'll definitely... Ooh, missing the land drop there for Jeff. So that means Cryptic won't be live. He couldn't jam his Jace. So it could definitely open up an opportunity here for Matthew to start kind of getting ahead on card advantage. So it'll be... We'll see what happens here. I'm just going to throw a little Serum Vision, start to set himself up. Jeff going to miss another land drop. He drew a Jace the Mind Sculptor for turn, but doesn't really do much if he doesn't have anything to follow up with. Where Matt's here now going to get up on 2 lands. That's another way this matchup can just, like, start snowballing out of hand, is if one player has lands and the other doesn't, because that means he can cast a spell and have counter magic, where Jeff will only have one or the other.
That's the thing. Jeff missed another land drop. Here's a mana leak, though, on Archmage's Charm.
Yeah, but it won't be shocking because, you know, Matt's sitting here on 5 mana. He can fire off that Archmage's Charm and then have the counterspell backup, because the odds of Jeff having a 1-mana counterspell there, highly unlikely. He probably has none in the main, and it's not sideboard, so he won't have any from the sideboard. We get the privilege of looking at those things. He has 3 Spell Snare, so...
Is that an Invocation Blood Moon?
That is an Invocation Blood Moon. It'll do some work here. It'll shut off one of Jeff's land, which is nice because it'll cut him off from double blue and double white, which now means Jeff can definitely only have 1 counterspell, especially because, unfortunately, we are seeing what we don't want to see in Magic. No lands. So Jeff's just not even getting to play the game. It's it is not a feel-good moment when you're trying to play Magic and you lose the game because you don't get to even play the game. I'm not saying this game is out of Jeff's hands yet. He can definitely still make a comeback, but if he doesn't start drawing some lands off and Matt gets to land a threat, like Thing in the Ice or Snapcaster, which there's the Thing in the Ice. Sure, it takes 4 counters, but I'm sure Matt can make that go away pretty quickly. Little Path to Exile. Say bye-bye Thing in the Ice. Which is definitely good. If that landed with Jeff missing mana here, that would have been rough.
I think if I'm Jeff, I'm just trying to fight to stay alive every which way possible.
Oh, for sure. You just have to sit here and... Like, here, you could bounce the Blood Moon, draw a card, which is probably what we're going to do to try to draw land, unless... And there's the Force Negation. We're not even going to use the alternative cost. We got so much mana compared to Jeff, we're just going to cast it for 3. So definitely a good position for Matthew. Sure, our Desolate Lighthouse is a mountain and not a Desolate Lighthouse, but that's still fine. Now we're landing a Jace. So there's nothing Jeff can have. Oh, no, you could have the Force Negation, but... Snapcaster. And he's like, well, I got nothing else, so I'll just hard cast a Force Negation out of my graveyard.
Brainstorm away. There's the Narset. What else do you get? Look like land, Narset, and something else.
I think the one thing, which I will let our table judge know, I think Force Negation got put back in the graveyard. So we'll give them a heads up, make sure that does get properly exiled so that it doesn't cause any issues down the road in case he tries to Snapcaster again. Because I do see the Thing in the Ice off the side, which we know that's an exile from the Path to Exile. And with Snapcaster Mage casting the Force Negation. Yep, okay, so they double check themselves. Good thing. That way, because that can be a big issue if down the road, say Matt Snapcaster Force Negation, and then like 3 turns later they noticed, oh wait, that should have been gone. That could cause for some awkward brain power needed by our head judge, or our table judge there, Dan Jackson, to figure out how to rectify that situation, because that would have been a big no-no. Still looking good for Matt. He's got the Jace going at it to Chris's island, plains, and 2 mountains. Matt's just gonna dig. He's gonna keep doing things till he finds some more things, and then he's just gonna keep turning that Snapcaster sideways and go on a kill plan like he did against Chris.
Yeah, there's no reason to do anything else, right?
For sure.
I'm gonna just keep drawing some stuff, or
we got our own Ambush Viper, but he's gonna try to throw out that Path to Exile at least. The question is if Matt wants that to happen or not. So are we going to Archmage's Charm Exile? Oh no, we got a Spell Snare in the graveyard I didn't know about. Never mind. I thought maybe we were gonna Charm to exile his graveyard, but nope, we got a nice little Spell Snare there hiding. Oh, well, that's definitely a thing.
This is probably an encounter?
Well, we'll find out if he can.
Let's see, draw the spell. I don't think so.
Nope, doesn't have it. At least here, he can continuously bounce it with Jace. So it is, while it's a decent card, it's still not going to do much work. Sure, it's going to keep Matthew from brainstorming. But it's still not... Oh, no, he's just saying... No. Is that 4 cards? Oh, okay. He must be doing something off-screen that I can't notice. Because, yep, there goes the Jace. That makes sense. I was going to say, if that was a Jace Brainstorm, that was one too many cards. So definitely there. We bounce the Batter Skull. We get in for the 4 damage. Hopefully draw something so we can play the creature and equip the Batter Skull. But even then, Jace is just going to keep bouncing that creature, and Matt's just going to keep getting in for 4 damage. Oh, there must be, yeah. So we did see 4, but then he bounced with the J. So we're assuming it's something we can't see on screen. And the only thing that could make sense is he does have Narset in the main. So there could be Narsets, a Narset next to the Jace on the left side. You know, Matt's board state is very large. Even his lands aren't on the screen. So I'd imagine Matt didn't just get to draw 4 random cards there. Because he did bounce with... Ooh. Well, he tried to bounce and replay the Batter Skull. It did not work. So yeah, we're going to assume we'll double check. But I'd imagine right next to Jace is, you know, his new best friend, Narset.
Good old Bolt Snap Bolt.
Oh, there it is. We saw it. Bolt Snap Bolt. So let's see. Oh, no, we moved the camera. So yeah, I'd imagine one of the things that we couldn't see on the field was the one of Narset Parter Veils in the main board, because with Narset you do get to look at 4 cards, choose a non-creature. Boom, there it is. You get to look at it, reveal a non-creature, non-land card, put it in your hand. So with it being 4 cards we saw, gonna assume Narset was on the field and we just couldn't see it because, yeah, Matt had a lot of board state there, because I think he had twice as many lands at that point. He had to have at least 10 lands there.
You definitely had Narset, right? Because you're looking at the top 4.
Yeah, and you're looking at 4. I think, like, he even stutter stepped there a second because you're so used to 3 with Jace, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, 4, did I do it wrong? Oh, no, okay, no, we're fine.
This card's great, by the way. Like, just Narset in general, just the effect it provides is
like, if he had,
super
like, drawn and put 2 cards back as opposed to take 1 and put him on the bottom, I would have then definitely thought he screwed up a Jace and I would have got the judge, but with the way that resolved, it, like, looked too awkward to be a Jace, so, yeah, it's probably the Narset that was on the side of the field.
So,
Matt having too many permanents.
Going to sideboards. Like we said, we saw Matt on camera last round.
Yep.
Last part of the top 8. Carano's coming back.
For sure. The
Crackling
awkward part is we did get to see Matthew de-sideboarded kind of face up, and if Jeff was nearby, he could have got some free information there. Like, we know the Crackling Drakes are in the sideboard. He had brought 2 in. There's a Karanos, the Dispel. So I'd imagine, like, he's going to sideboard, like, the exact same way he did against Matthew, or against Chris. So if Jeff was, like, hanging around and got lucky and saw that, he might know what Matthew is bringing in, so he can just get, like, a little free information. But then it also just comes down to what Jeff has in his sideboard. You know, he's sitting on Celestial Purge, Stony Silence, Disdainful Stroke, Force of Negation, Teferi Time Ravelers, Ashiok, Dream Render, Leyline of Sanctities, Gideon Ally of Zendikar, and Cataclysmic Gearhulk. I think here, you know, obviously certain cards like Stony Silence are not going to be great. I like the Gideon Ally of Zendikar because it'll just make free tokens. Because Thing in the Ice can't bounce Gideon. Can bounce the tokens, but that, like, sure. You just kind of, like, 4 for 0'd yourself almost.
And the Gideon in of itself, like...
You can just turn
it's just
sideways.
It's just a powerhouse.
Like, Matt's not playing white, so he can't have Path to Exile. He only has Lightning Bolts. Well, my Gideon can't die to Lightning Bolts. Celestial Purge isn't bad because you can deal with that pesky Blood Moon. And if Jeff saw any of the sideboard, or even just, you know, you expected Karanos or other red permanents from the sideboard, you know, Celestial Purge isn't a bad choice either. Mainly because, like, right there, you know, Jeff was stuck on a blue and a white. That's super rough, so definitely I think that Celestial Purge coming in to deal with the Blood Moon. Disdainful Stroke, not bad, not phenomenal, because as you, like, see in the main board, the only thing that hit was Jace the Mind Sculptor. Like I said, it's one of those things, if you saw how Matthew sideboard in top 8, then the Disdainful Stroke's not bad, because you're going to hit the Crackling Drakes, you're going to hit the Karanos. You did see a Cryptic Command, so Disdainful Stroke's not bad. Force of Negation will probably be coming in, make that a little extra helpful. Teferi Time Raveler, not bad. It's just a great card in general. Ashok Dream Render doesn't seem necessary at all. Like, if you really want to hate on Snapcaster, you could. You know, I've done that before in the mirror match where I'm like, I'm going to take out my Snapcasters and put in Rest in Peace and kind of get them on that one. I've done that before. So it'll be interesting to see how this match goes, if it's just the same thing we just watched 2 games in a row, or if Jeff is going to get to play some Magic this time.
Let's see what's going on. Like, couple lands, little draw, go. Here's a Thing in the Ice from Matthew. I think, like, Thing in the Ice is great if Jeff doesn't have an answer. It's just like, let me try and flip it as quickly.
I don't know if I'm a huge fan, because if Jeff just gets to untap and like jam it to Fairy or anything, and
man,
it forces him to have Force of Negation, which he doesn't. So I guess Matthew might not care about Teferi, so he was like, let me just jam Thing in the Ice and see if I can get going.
The other thing is Matthew also has like lightning bolts in his deck. It's kind of unfortunate because of that passive ability that Teferi has. We've been talking about
not being able to instant speed those is like sucks, but you know it's still doable. I've even like through a defense grid, I've cast lightning bolts for 4, and I'm like, don't care, you're still gonna die to this. 4 mana, 3 damage, all day. So it can still get there. It just makes for awkward timing, and you know some seasoned players can definitely work around that for sure. It is awkward though, because like your ops have to be main phase, your bolts have to be main phase until the Teferi's gone, which he might even bypass the Teferi. Nah, he's just like, you know, I'm gonna put it to 2 and then probably untap, kill it next turn. Because if we don't have that second bolt, or he just doesn't want Jeff to draw a card. Ooh, that was a good call too, because Jeff does not have the land. We definitely were probably about to draw with that Teferi there.
Matthew goes ahead, finds the island. Yeah,
I take a little less damage. He doesn't like life total isn't super relevant. I think on Matt's part, he's either gonna just take a bunch of damage from a Cryptic Command or from a Batterskull, or not much. Ooh, a Spell Queller. And he's like, yep, you got it. Here you go. He tried. He was like, oh, I'm gonna Snapcaster kill your Teferi. The nice part here is I definitely think unless Jeff draws a land. No, he's probably not going to do that. Would not be great. I was going to say he could bounce his Teferi, or bounce his Spell Queller to have it again, but Teferi would die, which means he would get to cast his Snapcaster. So Teferi will live on longer. And we'll see what happens. It looks like he's looking at Cryptic Command, because that looks like that Amonkhet foily again. He's probably trying to decide, is this good enough here? Is it not good enough here? Do I want to just draw a different card? Cryptic Command is one of those cards. It's so expensive for its value, but it's so hard to push it away. He's going to opt to push it away. No reaction? Okay. But
I don't know. I think if I'm Matt, like, I'd probably just take it.
Cryptic Command is insane, but if he doesn't have another land there, he probably doesn't want to miss his 5th land drop. Because just like game 1, you know, he's sitting on Archmage's Charm. He can just keep drawing cards and getting advantage. So there's a good chance that there wasn't a land in Matt's hand, and he was just like, oh, I want this Cryptic, but I also don't want to miss my land drop.
So is Jeff going to miss another land drop?
Yeah, I think Matthew's going to miss like his 3rd land drop in a row here. But he's going to jam a sword. Because it's free, can't get countered. Okay. For a second I thought Matthew was going to try to cast him, but I think he just tapped mana to tap mana.
Maybe tapped, forgot about Teferi for a second.
Possibly. You know, I've done that before. Heck, I've even cast cards forgetting what Teferi does. I've admitted that on camera. A little Snapcaster action. I'd imagine probably get Lightning Bolt, kill the Queller, and then we'll just continue about our day. Stoneforge has been pretty solid. You know, we have 2 Stoneforge lists in the top 4 right now, with Jeff playing blue-white, obviously, and Jeremy Langevin is going up against Dredge in the other semifinals matchup. And then there was also Chris Vinsect, who was on blue-white control, so we had 3 Stoneforge decks. in the top 8, we just got a little information because this match will take a while. Jeremy won game 1.
It's pretty big. Like,
Yeah,
we definitely saw him.
I definitely expected that to be, I think, a game 1 for Dredge, and then game 2 and 3, he was going to have to fight because he doesn't have any of those like rest in peace and stuff. But obviously, went his way. He probably did what we watched earlier, which was just jam my turn 2 Stoneforge, turn 3 jam my Batterskull. Oh, you didn't kill them? Well, I'm going to kill you now.
And I think it's not a bad option. Like, I think Jeremy's doing it right with this style of deck.
For sure.
It's like you don't want to sit back and wait.
Definitely. Like, he's been playing that deck long enough. He knows. Like, I've definitely played against decks where I'm just like, I just want to jam creatures. I'm going to try to play an aggressive blue-white deck. Like, there was times like, I think it's still in the Kerwin's archive somewhere. I went Blade Splicer, Resto, Blade Splicer, was just like, I'm going to make dudes against mono red and race them. And it worked out for me. Sometimes you just get aggressive with the decks if you can feel it. You feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? You feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? Sometimes you have that soul read, and you're just in tune with your deck. You know what to do.
I mean, definitely not wrong. Definitely done it. Good old Dryad Arbor.
Oh, for
Take
sure.
it from 20 to 0 real fast.
I've even with Infect, I killed back when Siege Rhino was starting to get play in Modern. I blocked with the Dryad Arbor, pumped it up, and was like, your Siege Rhino's dead to my Dryad Arbor. I will take that 1-for-1 trade with this Become Immense.
Good old
more snappies.
All the Snapcaster mages.
Looks like in a little Serum Vision, draw card, start setting up our library. But, like, right here, as we've seen in a lot of decks, like, there's not many board wipes, so just even these main phase Snapcaster mages aren't horrible. Like, they're probably going to stick unless they get Path to Exiled, and they're just going to turn sideways and do damage.
Passing over the turn back to Jeff. See what he draws.
Especially right there. Can't tell the number, but I'm pretty sure we attacked the Jace to make it so we can't minus the Jace. So Jace most likely just went up to 3. Snapcasters are going to kill him off unless Jeff finds something here. But it's not looking great, just like game 1. Jeff missing a couple land drops and fumbling here. But it's still not completely gone like I think game 1 was. He definitely still has a chance here, especially if he can land another creature and equip that Sword of Feast and Famine to it. Whew, that would be huge.
Oh, there it is on thin ice.
Well, take at least one of them. That's not bad. That means your Teferi is going to stick around longer, and it's going to force Matt to deal with the Teferi, keeping your life total higher, so it buys you even more time.
I wonder what's coming up next. Where's this Karanos? I just want to see it.
I know, right? I'm just waiting for Karanos to just get jammed after like a big counter war over Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Serum Visions.
I think they're going bottom here, so he's like, yeah, I don't like any of the cards. We saw he drew a land, so not much action off these Serum Visions, but Jeff still got a bunch of cards. Still got more to do. Got to opt. Another Archmage's Charm. He's going to literally see so many cards.
There's nothing
Ooh,
wrong.
this one's he liked it. Ooh, it's a Narset.
Narset's sweet. Like
Narset is so good. She just says you can't draw. Oh, he did have the creature for it.
Pretty sure he drew the Spell Queller in his last
The
turn.
question is there a bolt sitting in Matthew's hand? Doesn't look like it, so that Spell Queller is going to live, get equipped by that Sword of Feast and Famine, and do some work. So he's going to get him some +2/+2, so he's going to be way out of bolt range. He's going to be a 4/5. It's going to untap your lands after getting to do stuff, and it's going to make Matt discard, so all that extra card advantage is going away. Oh, we didn't tap our equipment.
I don't even want to bring that one up.
So he's going to discard a Spell Snare, which is fair. Like, the only thing it's hitting right now is probably like a Snapcaster Mage or a Mana Leak, which we've already seen the Mana Leak. And the rest of the cards in Matt's hand are drawing. Ooh.
Hard casting
Batterskull. Does Matt have the counter spell? Oh, wait, he can't.
Teferi.
Teferi. Well, it's hiding off. This one is not my fault. The Teferi is off screen. I got to remember that mentally. That's going to be a rough one. Because these guys are definitely playing further right or left, depending on which viewpoint you're at, than everyone else. So those games are going to slowly creep over onto Dan Jackson's side of the table, overtake his judge computer there.
Let's see. Zero visions.
I think he left one on top, one on the bottom. We're going to keep making our lands. But also, if we just hit a Chronos here, that'd be pretty... Ooh, Crackling Drake.
Just going to draw
a card. Got a creature.
This has a lightning
bolt. Ooh, with a thing in the ice. There is a lightning bolt, but I definitely like deploying these creatures here. Because like as we've seen throughout the tournament, not a lot of board wipes, so you can just deploy these creatures. And also on top of that, if you can flip that thing in the ice, that'll deal with the Spell Queller, which gets you your Narset back. Or you just force him to not be able to attack with the Spell Queller, because that Crackling Drake will be giant. Yeah, you counted it out right now. It is currently an 8-4. So Crackling Drake, definitely an all-star in Standard, and I definitely think after rotation with Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica and Legions all staying in Standard, I think Crackling Drake will be pretty good in Standard. I think Blue-Red is still a deck. Like, you have Quasi-Duplicate, you have Crackling Drake, it can be a deck.
Now you have the Kenriths.
Yep, you got the Kenriths.
Planeswalker.
You definitely, I think Blue-Red Drakes will still be a viable option. But even here, we see Blue-Red Drakes Standard, or a modern viable option. Being a 4-drop X4 in this deck is going to be huge all the time, and it just replaces itself.
Still have Phoenix around. I don't know. Standard's going to be weird.
Standard's going to be, I think, a fun time. And we're going to replay one Teferi, get rid of the other Teferi. He's probably trying to decide, do I minus or do I plus? Do I want to deal with this thing in the ice? Do I want to, what do I want to do here? Which we are going to go for bouncing the thing in the ice, draw a card. And then we're going to beat in for a lot of damage. So we got 4 on the Spell Queller, 4 on the Batter Skull. We're going to take 8 on Matthew's side, gain 4 on Jeff's side, and then he might block. He might think the Snapcaster's not doing anything, so I'll just block him.
I mean, even if he does, depending on what Jeff has, he gets to just untap.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, whether that Batter Skull connects or not, that Spell Queller is, which means Jeff's untapping his lands and Matt is discarding a card. That's still super relevant. Whether he blocks with that Snapcaster or not, that sword trigger real good. I'm definitely, after watching it today, I'm becoming a fan of this sword.
Better pick him up now. They're going to go up even more.
That's too late. They're already skyrocketed.
They always go up more, though. That's the worst part, is when they skyrocket and then they skyrocket again.
Yeah, I'll just borrow decks from people. I don't play Magic anymore.
A little bit of writing down life totals here.
Just we decided not to block the Snapcaster. Matt's going to go all the way down to 3. Jeff's going to go up to 23. It'll definitely be a hard battle for Matt here now. With that thing in the ice not staying for him to be able to just cast 4 spells and go about it, it'll be tough.
I also don't think Matthew really cared about it because he just got rid of it. To the Feast of Famine.
He might have liked the other cards better. Like this Lightning Bolt. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he's worried about the Teferi. Maybe he's sitting on a Cryptic Command, so that means he can Bolt Teferi, Archmage Charm to draw cards, and then tap your team. I guess, yeah, his hand was Bolt, Crackling Drake, Archmage's Charm. I probably would have chose Thing in the Ice to get rid of as well. Just because Thing in the Ice really isn't going to do anything here.
Yeah, Crackling Drake, if it resolves, he'll draw a card, which is always nice.
And Archmage's Shard will draw him 2 more. What he's really hoping here is Snapcaster dies to Batter Skull and Crackling Drake trades with Spell Queller. But it also depends if Jeff has a removal spell or not. If he just has another On Thin Ice, Path to Exile, Counterspell. There's so much he could have right here that just, it doesn't work. All right, so the Archmage's Charm got there. That worked out.
Counter snap.
So the Crackling Drake resolved. So the question is, does Jeff have... I'm assuming I just missed. Jeff showed some sort of a removal spell because we're told Jeff won. Not sure if he won from showing a removal spell. I definitely I missed that real quick. Okay, good. I was just about to type to the table that Jeff took one of Matt's cards. Because I even saw on camera that black line through the deck box. So Jeff gonna run, use the bathroom real quick. Don't blame him. Long day. Sometimes you gotta go. So we'll take a small intercession here, and it looks like we can see Jeremy in the background there. So looks like they're still in game 2. Haven't heard anything about that match in a little while. So we're going on to game 3 for Matt and Jeff, and then those guys are still in game 2. So probably won't take too much longer for everything.
I don't know. I just want to see this Karanos, man.
I know, right?
That's all I want to see.
Just jam that Karanos.
Just show me the blue-red god. That
Karanos can definitely take it home. Like if he gets the land, whoo.
I mean, overall, I mean, we're in a secluded area.
Oh yeah, they don't want us in the general public.
Just hanging out.
Just like, here, go over here, stay. They see me go upstairs and they go, no, go back in your hole. No, we don't like you. I'm like, oh, okay. So for anyone that was curious, that saw me doing a little, just walking some Pokemon, taking my time. And in between rounds, you gotta get your walking in. You gotta feed your Pokemon. You gotta take care of them, and sometimes Niantic helps you out, and they put some bugs in there you can take advantage of. So I am proud of it. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, I'm about to hatch like 8 eggs. So
definitely don't play as much as I used to. Not even close.
I've been in and out of Pokemon. I played when it first came out. I kind of got bored because there was nothing to do when the game first came out. Like, there was first gen. Yay. But back in, I would say, October, I got back into it, and ever since then, I play a bunch. I have a handful of friends I play with. A
couple of them are up at Montreal right now, right?
Yep, a couple of them went Thursday and Friday to Montreal. I didn't get to go. I honestly thought about buying tickets for my birthday and going, but I had no one to cover my shifts, so I couldn't. What also works out, in East Greenbush, Funplex and Flipside, and Starbucks, we have 4 gyms. Funplex has 2 gyms and 5 Pokestops.
So it's literally right where you are.
Yeah. So and then Flipside is a gym, and then Starbucks is a gym. So I usually don't have to go far, If a raid pops up, I'll take a 5-minute break, go do the raid. I take everyone's phone, and I show up, and phones, Pokemon.
See, for us, we got the great thing where
you got to walk up and down your street.
We're a gym right here at Kerwin's. It's great.
Yeah. That's the nice part. How game stores just keep becoming gyms, I don't know, but I'm happy with it.
The cool part is we have a few on staff to play, and our locals, our regulars will come over and be like,
that's
hey,
the nice part.
We need some extra help.
It's pretty easy to get like a little group going. A handful of Magic players play. I know me and my coworkers, Alex Rao, we play a lot together, so we go and do the raids. Sometimes we got to ask for a couple people, hey, come help us.
Right.
But it's also nice, I know we did one earlier today. We did a Mewtwo in between rounds because there was just enough Magic players that were like, oh, hey, we're waiting on 3 matches? Well, let's see who gets a shiny. It was not me.
Gotcha. Well, Jeff is back.
All right, getting shuffled up, ready to go. Matt took a little looky-loo at his sideboard to see if there's anything he wanted.
So if I'm Jeff here, I'm just hoping I make my land drops every turn this time around.
Oh, for sure. That definitely worked out for him in game 2, so I'm sure he's hoping to repeat game 2, whereas Matt's hoping to repeat game 1.
Watching without sound.
I'm assuming that question is probably going to be for some of the viewers there. But yes, if anyone wants to inform him, let him know. We will be playing Blue Red Moon versus Blue White Stoneblade. Fun, interactive Magic.
Anything wacky? Nah. I'm
Nah.
not surprised with today's.
Typical style. Thank you, Donut. Appreciate that.
Donut's great with the help right now.
He is.
By the way.
Or she is. Whoever you are.
Yeah.
Or it is a donut. Which then, I'm jealous. I'd like to be a donut.
I don't know. I got Krispy Kremes on the way, so.
Crispy.
Next week. It's a great fundraisers are a great thing. Support your local fundraisers.
I don't have many Krispy Kremes. I live in Nassau. It's in the middle of nowhere place. So usually I only get a Dunkin' Donuts. Occasionally I venture out and I go find myself a Krispy Kreme, but they're not common for me.
Nah.
Makes me sad.
So right now Matthew and Jeff are doing the whole land go.
Well, which is what we expected. If anything else happened, I'd be a little shocked. But
That's a good one. That was a good one.
It's been a long day. Don't got too much longer.
I mean, it's always cool though to get to see people come from all over. Jam out the game that everybody really likes. And
Yeah, NetRev. It is a pimped out deck. We have expeditions, full art, original Zendikar foils, foil Jaces, Narsets. I'll still say it. I'm not a huge fan of the mismatched mountain. He has either a special Odyssey or Onslaught one. I would want mine to match with my other basics. And then he does have some Amonkhet foils with a Cryptic Command. But other than that, no, it's still respectable, still completely foil, which I do appreciate.
See, I can't do it. When I play, it's got to be no foils.
Me, I'm either all foils or I'm going to play all the worst versions of cards someone hates. I'll play 4 different pictures of a card. I'll do anything and everything. If I got some old basics laying around, I'll make sure I get one of every different basic and just try to make the most ugliest Frankenstein-looking deck you've ever seen.
Oh man! Don't ever run into Patrick Sullivan. He might rip you a new one.
I'll take a free win if he gets tilted from looking at my deck. I'll do that all day.
Oh.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Little droppage.
Little fetch away. Gonna land.
And he's like, yeah, well, I showed you this serum, so I'm probably just gonna play it anyway. So he's throwing down the.
That's nothing they've never seen before. So
exactly. So just gonna go ahead, drop that island into tap form, and just go ahead and cast the Serum Vision.
all right, I'm cool with that. 4 different foil Arcbound Ravagers, 2 Masterpiece and 2 Judge Mox Obels. There's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
It's weird though with how many promos of certain things are now. I almost want to have one of all.
Okay.
Arcbound, you got the 2 different ones. You got the new MCQ one, and then you have the Masterpiece one. You could have all. You could have one of each. Mox Opal, sure. You currently only have the 3 choices, so you can't really get there. Oh no, that's incorrect. They had the reprinting, so you could get original Modern Masters 2, Judge promo, and Masterpiece.
Nope.
Boom. There we go. You could have 4 of those as well. I've done that before, not too often, because normally there is one art I prefer over the other.
My big thing is fetches. So I have a friend. You might know him. His name's Elmo. And this friend of mine, he's got everything foiled out, minus his lands. He does not have all of his foil fetches. So
but he does have some.
He's got some.
Okay, that's good. Because if you play a deck with 0 foil land... Ooh, there's your Kuranos.
Yes.
Is it going to
resolve? We got to read it.
Is it?
I think it is.
I think he's double-checking the whole Force Negation thing because it is still a creature spell on the stack. I learned this the hard way because I remember when it was first in Standard, I asked, can I negate this? And they said, no, it is still a creature.
Correct. Correct. That's the one great thing about
And Jeff was just checking. He looked at that force negation. Can I still do this? No. I think that's what he's doing right now. He doesn't want to say he has a force negation. So he's going to ask the judge. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. It's happened before. Like I said, during standard, someone jammed a god against me. I don't remember if it was specifically Karanos or not. I think it was. And I was like, can I negate this? Because it's an enchantment. And this says non-creature. He's like, no, because it's still a creature. So I think that's just what's happening right here. Because, there's nothing else Jeff can have at instant speed with no mana other than force negation. So
the resolve.
Yup.
Yes,
that's
we did
Snapcaster
it.
turn. So
Matthew
there's a
did
Karanos on the field. And it takes 7 to get Karanos activated. So
it just doesn't even matter.
Yes. Well, for like Path to Exile and On Thin Ice, for those cards,
right?
Sure, we can Baby Teferi bounce it because it's still an enchantment. But you're kind of just prolonging that one, and that's not feel good because then the Snapcaster's just gonna kill the Teferi.
And Jeff's forced into that if he has the Teferi, which he does.
Yeah, especially because like we're back to the game 1 scenario. Jeff's on 3 lands, so not only do you want to do it because you just don't want that Karanos on the field, but you also just want to try to find a land.
Yeah, unfortunately, like Dota, like Jeff's had a little bit of trouble with that. In this match in general, it's just like the land drops every turn. It's gonna opt to play Stoneforge,
which I think is still fine and respectable. Like, you can play the Stoneforge, go get yourself a Batter Skull or a Swords, and like, it still puts a threat on the board. Most likely, it's just gonna die though, because Karanos is probably gonna trigger, deal 3 damage or something.
So let's pull up Karanos for people that don't remember or haven't seen this card ever or in a long time.
It has, especially if you're new to Magic. Like, Karanos definitely has fallen out of favor, even though I think it is still one of the sickest cards, especially in this matchup. So, on the stack, in your hand, in your deck, it is a legendary enchantment creature. When it's on the battlefield, though, it is only enchantment unless you have a total of 7 red and blue symbols on your field. So, for instance, how Karanos has a red and blue in there, that's 2 of your 7. You have to have 5 more. So, in Modern, it is almost never a creature, which means it can't get On Thin Ice, Path to Exiled, any of these other things. It is just a giant 5-drop enchantment that says, reveal the first card you draw on each of your turns. Thankfully, if it said each turn, card would just literally be too good. And then you just reveal it, and if it's a land, you draw an extra card, so you don't feel bad for missing a land drop. If it's not a land, you're going to deal 3 damage to something.
It's just Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, it's such a good card. I think the card's insane. Right there, boom, flip a Serum Visions, deal 3 damage to you. Now I'm going to cast the Serum Visions, draw some more cards.
The only thing that, if I'm Matthew, I mean, it's a super, super niche scenario, is if I play a Crackling Drake. Because right now I have Snapcaster on board, so if I have a Drake and I play it,
that is fair.
That turns Karanos on.
But if Jeff were to tap out, I would do that if it would be lethal. 100%.
Yeah, of course.
So I think Jeff might have to keep that in mind and never fully tap out and have to leave that path open just in case so that ever happens.
Yeah. Incoming, Jeremy won the match.
Yep. Don't know if he won it 2-0 or 2-1, but Jeremy won the match, so we will have either a third blue-white versus red-blue matchup in a row, or it'll be a blue-white versus blue-white again.
If Jeff takes this, I'm kind of curious if it's Jeff and Jeremy, because their list is, if not exact, very close.
Well, it would have to be Jeff and Jeremy.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. If it would be Jeff and Jeremy. I was like, well, they have to play each other.
If Jeff wins this one.
Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying now.
If they're playing...
which is definitely a weird scenario. Like, right here, we're going to throw that Snapcaster at the Teferi and hope, do you have the path? No, Teferi's dead. And then we're just, yet again, going to jam this, probably Karanos. Or he's like, I can wait on the Karanos. I'm going to play this card you have to deal with, Blood Moon. Because that does force Jeff to try to use It makes Matt force Jeff to use counter spells because if Matt loses those white sources, that's rough. Especially because he'll be off double blue, that'll be even rougher. So you like have to deal with this Blood Moon right here. Yeah, definitely for sure. Karanos has not been played in a while, but he's making that sweet, sweet comeback here in the blue-red, Blue Moon deck here.
Let's see. What does Jeff do here? Like, do we just pass? Or we play the, he has, looks like sword in his hand?
He has a sword. That might have been a battle scroll. I don't know. I think you have to leave up, like, the Field of Runes here. Because if he goes to jam another one, he can at least get some basics out of his deck to help him out. So yeah, we're going to Field of Ruin the Desolate Lighthouse. Have that be gone. I do find it interesting he decided to use the other Field of Ruin, because now he can't use both. Which normally, sure, I probably wouldn't want to, but if Matt jammed another Blood Moon, I would definitely want to use that other Field of Ruin just to get another basic to be safe. But we Field of Ruin here, so that means we can still hardcast our Force Negation. We don't have to 2-for-1 ourselves on it. Get a little shuffle and cut action for both players, because Field of Ruin is not fully main. It'll let you both go get a basic.
Well, even if you don't have one, it is a must ability.
That is true. That is true.
That threw me off the first time I ever played against it.
Yep. It's definitely good. It's one of those scenarios where it's like, oh, I just bounced onto the top of your deck. I'm going to do this thing that says you're forced to shuffle. And you're like, but I don't want to. And you're like, well, the card says otherwise. So Matt isn't going to jam the Karanos because he's assuming Jeff probably has some form of counterspell, which, I think that's fine. You're just going to keep turning this Snapcaster sideways and putting Jeff in lethal range. Ooh. So that's some free information for Matt if he didn't already have it. Jeff said, Snapcaster, go. And Matt said, well, don't forget about your Stoneforge. And he said, oh, I don't have that. Or I'm going to opt to not search, which definitely means that Jeff has both of his equipments in his hand. Thing in the Ice coming down off of a Mana Leak on Karanos. So unfortunately, Karanos down.
Teferi?
Yep, a little Teferi action.
Teferi.
And here we're probably going to pass the turn and just put something in off of the Stoneforge Mystic, which is definitely fine. But if Matt can, draw an Archmage's Charm here and, just kind of start drawing more cards to flip this thing in the ice, it can definitely do some work here. Because you can... Ooh. Is that Jace resolving? Yeah. Not often do you see a late game Mana Leak get there, but it got there. Oh, and I think our Jace just resolved. It did. So we're going to get the draw 3, put 2 back. That can start setting us up for some fun times. Yeah, Bolt, Snap, Bolt. There's a lot of things you can do here because...
If I'm Jeff, I'm super worried about that in this scenario.
Oh, for sure. He's hoping that he can activate this Stoneforge Mystic and put this Batter Skull in and get himself out of Snap, Bolt, Snap range. But the other thing you do have to respect is you have to gain enough life before... ooh... That Magmatic Sinkhole coming into play. We're going to exile a whole bunch of cards, and we're going to say, I want to kill your Teferi. So Teferi's deaded. Probably going to pass the turn here. Don't have anything else. We're going to flash in that Batter Skull off of Stoneforge Mystic. Get a 4/4 Vigilance Lifelinker.
See.
Now we can kind of start putting in a little work with the Batter Skull, putting us out of dead range.
Gonna animate the Colonnade.
Ooh, he wants to race him.
So I think the Colonnade's going after the Mind Sculptor.
I think that's fair. Because you guarantee get Jace off the board, and you're going to gain 4 life to get you out of Snap, Bolt, Snap range. But definitely the big issue here is it. Ooh. Crackling Drake. Got a big beater in the air now. So that colonnade has to stay active. Unless Jeff has a path to exile there.
Looks like Jeff, from what I saw, I think he has a path. Plus, he has his one of Resto Angel.
Ooh, Resto Angel can definitely do some work. So that path to exile is going to come into play. Get rid of the get rid of the Crackling Drake. Jeff's going to go get a land. Hopefully he found some sort of action off the Crackling Drake. Because if he can get that thing in the ice to flip, he might be able to hit Jeff. But until then, Jeff might have actually pulled this one out. You know, being shorted on lands, you know, dealt with the Karanos that landed. This is actually not looking bad for Jeff now. So it looks like we're going to have a blue-white Stoneblade mirror match in the finals.
Yeah, I think, I don't want to speak like too soon, but favorably. It's tilting in Jeff's favor. I don't think Matthew has too many different things he can do from here.
For sure. I think the big thing is with him having that Resto Angel, like he's just going to leave it up. That way if Thing in the Ice ever does somehow flip, like Jeff can take that one shot and then he can flash in Resto, untap, equip Batterskull, kill Matt. So it'll be, yeah, here it is. We got Thing in the Ice. Got down to 2 triggers. I think the big thing is if Jeff can get it to flip on, it looks like it's a Narset. If he can Thing in the Ice to flip on Jeff's turn, that would definitely be more beneficial for him. Looking at some cards here, definitely saw a Cryptic Command in the land there. Couldn't catch the other 2 cards. Definitely some choices there. Jeff double checking, seeing how it works. Like, oh, when do you remove counters? Thing in the Ice isn't whenever you cast a non-creature. It is specifically whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, it'll remove some counters from itself. And once it does, it flips over into a giant behemoth of a creature, being a 7/8, while also flipping over, returning all non-horror creatures to their owner's hands. So it would also give Matt back his Snapcaster Mage to do a little more tricks with. Ooh. So he's just going to flash in that Resto trying to be like, I want to kill you, Matt. I want this game over. I want to win the game.
Yeah, I think, like, if I'm... I don't know. Like, it's risky, right? If I'm Jeff, I want to get in there. But like you said, the Thing in the Ice, we're going to... If it flips, it's into a 7/8. It's just this monstrosity of a beater. Ooh, there's the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Saucy.
So Jeff's going to untap.
Let's see what we got here. Got a lot of options. I definitely think equipping that sword over to the Resto is sweet, but...
Cryptic
so we
Command.
do have the Cryptic. We're going to tap everything down and draw a card. Tap that down. Thing in the Ice is 7. It's not enough to kill Jeff, but can maybe make something happen there. Try to get there. Ooh. Okay, just activating Colonnade. Killing off the Narset.
Just gonna tap the Colonnades. Over to Matthew. Can't really see too much. Looks like they're sitting a little further back there. We got another Thing in the Ice.
Chaining those off could definitely be what wins this game for Matthew, because, you know, Jeff's about to lose all of his blockers there and all of his creatures. Takes 7. And so if Jeff can chain off some cards here, making it so Jeff never has any blockers, that could win him the game. That's what he really needed to do, was chain off some spells to get these to go.
Yeah, and I just think that, like, we haven't seen Thing of the Ice in a couple weeks now.
Oh, for sure.
Ever since Faithful Saluting went away for the most part. So it's pretty sweet that it's here and it's the Woken Horror's doing its thing.
For sure. It's definitely interesting, too, because, like, this is going back to the Charles with humans and whoever was on Jun. I can't remember to save my life right now. That was such a wishy-washy back-and-forth game.
Yeah, Colin.
And we're starting to go back to that now. Like, I for sure thought Jeff was, like, in a good driver's seat. Having that second thing in the ice is real good because this can set Matt up to try to get the W here. Because Jeff's in a real awkward position. He can't really do much because he has to leave up Restoration Angel in order to, like, have a blocker at instant speed. So this is turning into a real I don't know what's going to happen match.
The other thing is we don't know what's in what cards are in Matthew's hands.
Yeah, he did Serum there, so he drew a random card off the Serum, but he did get to manipulate his deck. It's a really good thing early on. Jeff Field of Ruined Matt's Desolate Lighthouse, because if he had this the whole time, I don't think Matt would have ever lost this game because he would have been cycling so many cards. Man, having that flipped thing in the ice and then possibly going to get another one and just attacking in for 14, that could be what does it. Ooh, we got an Archmage's Charm. So we're just going to say, sorry, Stoneforge, you have to die a horrible death. Oh, he's going to attempt to save it.
So Archmage's Charm from Matthew.
Yep. So another Archmage's Charm.
We're going to counter that.
Going to pay 3 mana and say cancel. Counter target spell. That dealt with the Resto, which now the Thing in the Ice kills off the Stoneforge Mystic. At least Jeff does have Gideon ally Zendikar, so he can play the Gideon, make a token, but then he still has to be worrisome of the Thing in the Ice. He does have a Jace, so he could completely tap out, play both of them, and bounce the Thing in the Ice with only 2 counters on it and make a token. Unless I counted the mana wrong. It is hard to see with Jeff's. I thought he had enough mana, but he might only have the 3 mana, so he might not be able to do all those things. Because if he's only simply making a token with Gideon, that might not be good enough.
We got a Snapcaster.
There's a Snapcaster. We're going to cast the Cryptic Command here on there, which as long as, he's going to remember that trigger. The Force Negation is going to come through. I don't think it's going to matter, though, because sure, Gideon's going to make a token, but if Jeff just draws a spell and he gets to flip that Thing in the Ice, that's game over. It's game over, man. It's game over. Let's see. What did Matthew draw for turn?
There is no Supreme Verdict.
No, from what we've been seeing from a lot of lists, Donut is... I don't think any of the blue-white lists I've seen today have a single Supreme Verdict board wipe of any sort. The only thing they have is a lot of them have been playing Cataclysmic Gearhulk as a one-of in the sideboard. Outside of that, I have not seen any Supreme Verdicts today outside of the 5-color Niv Mizzet Reborn deck. That was like the only one I think playing Supreme.
That was a cool one.
And that was sweet. So Matt's definitely, I think, in an interesting predicament here because I'm assuming he didn't draw a spell of any sort because Jeff only has 1 card in hand, and unless there's like a white source tapped off to the side, which I still don't think it matters because you can cast any random spell, you flip over your Thing in the Ice, everything bounces, which means you have Snapcaster with Archmage's Charm again. So I'm assuming Jeff just drew a dud. So he's just going to get in there for 2, put Jeff to 4, kill off the token, and pass the turn. Or else Matt could have won right there. So, in my mind, I didn't see it, but if I'm Jeff, boom. That's a land in Matt's hand. I'm not worried about that one. So, Jeff's going to try to get out of this one. He's probably going to play the Jace. I'm assuming that Jace is going to bounce the thing in the ice with only one counter left on it, because he really needs that thing in the ice not to flip over.
Oh, looks like a mana leak.
Oh, so he did have it. It was just a counter spell. That's why he couldn't do anything with it. So that's interesting because the thing in the ice is going to flip, get back Snapcaster, Snapcaster Mana Leak. So then it won't even matter if Jeff makes a token because Matt's just going to say counter your Jace. I have 3 guys to your 1. You're at 4. You're at dead. So that still works out. That Mana Leak was pretty solid draw. I would have assumed it was a land. He's not even going to go for the Mana Leak. He's like, I'm just going to straight up counter this. And then I'm 99% sure draw, turn sideways with the hand, and there it is. So Matthew pulled that one out and was able to win it.
That was definitely sweet. A lot of back and forth, a lot of
For sure. I definitely did not. I would never have guessed that was going to end with Matt draws a Mana Leak to bounce to flip thing in the ice, to bounce Snapcaster, to then counter something else, and get there. I would have thought that ended with he just drew a Serum Visions or Opt and went about his day and won. So that was definitely an interesting turn of events there. I definitely thought Jeff was in the driver's seat with the Batterskull, with the Spell Queller, and he just I guess he didn't draw enough interaction that Matt was able to just slowly grind that back in, use that thing in the ice, put all of his creatures back in his hand, and I almost want to say he stole that game. But, that was definitely a well-earned victory for Matthew. He played it out, didn't concede, didn't give up, believed in his deck, played to his outs, and now he's in the finals of the MCQ.